I'm down in Poole today at Saltons Marina, which is the home of Wessex Marine, with the importers of these fabulous Targa boats. And they very kindly invited me to look at this one, which is a brand new Targa 46. It is in fact a new model as well. This is based on the 44, but it's been extended with more space at the back. Now these are really serious offshore bruisers, but they're also a very comfortable boat to be on board. So well worth having a look at. Now the interesting thing with this is that although it's based on the 44, what they've done is they've added the length right at the back of the boat, and that gives you a few choices, because you can either use that length to have a larger area on the back here, or you can extend the pilot house, which is the accommodation just here, or in fact there's a model that gives you a bit of both, which is what this one is, so it's a sort of mid-model. Anyway, let's go and have a look inside first of all, and I'll show you what these are all about. Now, as we head inside this boat, the first thing that hits you is the wonderful smell of this beautiful teak. It's really lovely finish on it, and it looks fantastic, and it's typically Scandinavian. And I think what sums up this boat in some ways is the lighting, because you've got these modern dimmer lights just here, and you've also got the sort of slightly more old-fashioned light like this. It's a real meld of traditional and modern, and it works fantastically well. So in terms of the actual accommodation itself, there is a big saloon area just here, and opposite that is the galley over here, so that's giving you loads of storage, drawers underneath here and that kind of thing, cooking over here and underneath here, and then a big fridge just there. And then ahead of that you have got the business end, so your helm is just here. It's all twin screens nowadays, of course, which works very well, so you can have instruments and radar or navigator or whatever you want. But it's actually on this one, it's backed up by traditional instruments up here. So again, it's that wonderful meld of modern and traditional. And you've got plenty of seating as well. So if your crew are joining you, you can sit 2 or 3 people over here, right next to the helm. And if you're short-handed, well then you've got doorways that go straight out onto the decks. And they're on both sides. So it makes it a really manageable boat and a really easy boat to move around. In terms of sleeping accommodation, well, you've got that down here. And what they've done with this, which is quite clever, is you've got a double bed up in the front just there, that you've actually got a single bed tucked down here. So that makes this area really adaptable, because if you've got 2 people that don't want to sleep together, well then you can have one sleeping there, one up there. If it's a couple, of course, they can use a double bed. And in fact, for a young family where they've got maybe a couple and a small child, this makes a great area where they can all be together. And of course there is an ensuite just there, but that isn't of course the only sleeping area on this boat. It is after all a nearly 50-foot boat. So if we go back out of here and back through the saloon, we will find a completely separate private aft area. That's down these steps here, and down here we've got a really nice double cabin, again that beautiful teak lining tucked away in here. But again, it's really adaptable, because if you come back out of here, and there's a doorway onto this section just here, there's another single bed that runs in here. So again, it's giving you complete separate private sleeping areas. Somebody here is separate from here, and everybody here is separate from the front. And there's another heads back here as well. So this area has its own facilities. That works really well. Anyway, let's go and have a look at the outside. So one thing you get as standard on this particular model is a full flybridge. Some Targas, the smaller ones, just have a helm position on the back end of the pilot house. This one, you go up here, it's got a proper flybridge on it. It's all covered over at the minute because the boat is brand new and it's all being kept protected, but you've got another helm position tucked up underneath there, and then seating around the back, and there's space on the back here for life rafts. And in fact they do an extended version of this, so you can have this that extends all the way back to the transom, and you can put a dinghy on there I believe as well. But the big news with Targas always is the ability to walk around the boat, and this is where these really score, because these decks are just magnificent. Really easy walk around, and then you've got another great seating area up here in the bow, separate to the stern one, and then all your anchor handling gear, etc. up at the front just here. Anyway, let's go back down the other side. I want to have a little look in the engine space. So the engines are under the deck, right at the back of the boat, just here. If you give me a second, I'll get those hatches up, we can have a look. that is what I call engine access. Let's have a pop down there and see what we can see. Now, unusually for a boat of this size, you can have this on outdrives, which is what this boat is. This has got a pair of D6 400s, so they're 400 horsepower each, and that is giving the boat about 35 knots, so it's a really quick boat. But if that's not enough, you can have this boat with IPS drives. That's why this engine room is so long. So IPS engines bring the engines a bit further forward. They use pod drive, and you can have IPS 800 in here. That's giving 600 horsepower each, and that's lifting the boat well over 40 knots. And that is properly quick by any standards, and especially by the standards of 50-foot boats. But that's what this boat is about. It's about serious seakeeping, it's about serious quality, and it's about serious performance. And it's for people who are really serious about going places on their boat and not just sitting in the marina or popping out to an anchorage just outside. So that's about it. Fascinating boat, well worth a look at. Hope you've enjoyed the tour.